Yeah, bro. So today's fairly simple. We're gonna go through all the picks. Talk about how they affect the team, and talk about where they're gonna be on the roster, how we feel about the picks, the pros, the cons. Um, Before we get into each pick, Mo, how you feel about just the draft being over and the draft in total?
I mean, I feel pretty good about it, man. I think we addressed a lot of needs, which was the biggest thing for me. Like I feel much more comfortable going into the summer with this roster. And I think still few little moves you can make here and there, but man, like just roster wise, looking at the depth and everything is much better than how I felt um after free agency. So
Yeah, bro. Like I feel like the draft we definitely, and we're gonna get into it later, but I feel like the draft we definitely attacked the bottom line or like the floor of the team. Like we this wasn't like a sexy draft. It wasn't like the first draft under Ortiz or the second one where you got sexy offensive picks and flashy corners and safety. Like this was straight, to be honest, just meat and potatoes, bro.
yeah.
Whole bunch of meat and potatoes. So, I feel like it raises the floor of the team. And yeah, like hopefully hopefully some of these guys don't play year one, but the ones that should play, hopefully they impact the team
Yeah.
off rip.
Yeah.
So starting with the first pick, one of my favorite picks, Akeem Mesidor. What are you feeling about that again? I know we addressed it on the
Yeah.
live stream. But what do you feel about that again?
No, just I mean, I feel even better than I did when they first made it. Just it's a need, and it's not only is it a need, it's a great player. Um, Probably max last year. I mean, to be honest, and then we'll have somebody who could jump in right away. I understand the age concern. I'm not trying to ignore it, but at the same time, I can care less about it. Like, eh, a lot of people I think are just overreacting. I mean, there's a lot of things I could say about that to try to basically counter that argument, but I'm gonna just leave it at it's not that big of a deal to me.
Yeah, I just feel like for us, like I said a couple of days ago, I'm like Edge 3 is a starter. And when you think about Tuli, you think about Mac, like you said, Mac's getting older. Do we do we want to have Mac out there every game, 80 snaps a game at his current age? Like he can do it. I mean, he did it last year before. I mean, when he dislocated his elbow, came back and did it. So, last year we didn't have a sufficient edge 3 until we traded for Owe. When Mac got hurt,
It was
our
ugly.
edge, it was ugly. It was
Like,
gross. It was gross. So now we get Akeem Mesidor, who was a top 12 player on my board, top 15 player on my board, right? Violent hands, great pass rush, can rush from the interior and the outside off the edge, similar to how Thule does. You know, if he dropped because he's 25 years old, hey man, we're trying to win Super Bowl this year, the year after that. I
yeah,
could care less. When his rookie contract, he's gonna be 30. I could
careless.
not
You
care
you
less,
worry
bro.
about that then, and
You worry about that in 2032. I'm
yeah,
not worried about that right now, bro.
why are we so concerned right now about that, man? You got years and years to address that, and like I was saying before, like you have a young edge rusher who's really good ascending with Tuli. So like I just don't see the big deal.
Yeah, so like going into the draft, I was like, you know, Akeem's probably gonna be gone. It's probably gonna be a TJ Parker or a Zion Young, maybe a Malachi Lawrence type of thing. Those are good players. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but Akeem is just better than them. And Akeem's only been playing edge rusher for 2 seasons. It's not like he's been in college 7 years, played edge the whole time, and finally broke out. He's only
yeah,
been playing 2 years after he dropped weight and got went to Miami, got coached by Jason Taylor and all that. So he can still grow. He can still grow as an edge rusher. He can still grow
100%.
as a player. So to
I think
me, it's perfect.
my favorite thing about him is his ability to not only play the run, but he can rush from the inside and he's good at it. So like you can throw together NASCAR packages on third down. Like you could have Thule, Mac, him, whoever the best uh pass
Interior,
rushing interior guy is.
like
Like
Boyd
that's
B or somebody like that.
yeah, that's uh I don't see how people aren't excited about that.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's flawless. It's typical. I don't like to revert back to the Raven things all the time, but it's typical what happens to the Ravens all the time. They just sit there and somebody falls to them, whether it's Kyle Hamilton, whether it's Mike Green, just things like that. Even this year's draft, Zion
Zion,
Young just falls to him. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So we stuck and we picked, and we got one of the better players in the draft, in my opinion. All
yeah,
right. So going to probably the most controversial pick of them all is Jake Slaughter. Just talk about the whole process of it was at 55. We traded down to 63. But everybody's favorite guard prospect besides any NFL teams was sitting there and they passed on him.
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It's it's a lot I could say about this pick, but I'm gonna start with clearly there was something that people are upset. I think that we didn't take Pregnon, but clearly there was something that a lot of not only us, but a lot of teams didn't like about him. This is a guy who when the draft process first started, he was a top, he was projected to go in the first round, and all of a sudden he fell to the third.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys wanted to get him at 55. I mean, I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player. A lot of the times people just fall for whatever reason, but we also brought him in for a private workout, which you only get a few of those. And clearly we saw something we didn't like, and we thought this Slaughter guy was just better. And you know, he was, I think, before free agency and we got Biotish, I thought that that was going to be a really big target for us. Um, After free agency, when we got that center, I thought, maybe we can go and get a center in the later rounds or, um, something like that to have as a backup or future center. I didn't think it would be the second. Uh, but just kind of watching the guy and seeing how everybody feels about him. I think that I feel good about it. I think everybody, at least in the front office, was confident that he could play guard. McDaniel was, Harbaugh was, Ortiz was, all the scouts. And then you got to back up. You got to back if he doesn't play guard, somebody else beats him out. Not only do you have your center for the future, you got a backup center. And you just got depth. It's way more depth than last year. Young player, strong player. From what I'm hearing, he's extremely, extremely smart, which is important at the guard position. So I mean, man, the draft is very dependent on how this pans out. Uh, but I think I understand and I like the process of it. So I mean, overall, I give it about a B. I mean, it's just kind of a wait and see. I don't see why I would complain about it right now.
Yeah. For me, it's when I look at the process of it. So, like you said, we brought Pregnon in for a private workout. Now, I know a lot of people are angry because Joe Ortiz hasn't, the offseason was a little underwhelming in terms of the money and who we brought in, who like paying people, so on and so forth. Right. Now, to me, the draft and offseason acquisitions are two completely different things. Over the last 2 years or two drafts, Joe Ortiz has gotten credit in the bank, at least for me, that he can draft, that him and his scouts can draft. You feel me? When it comes to this pick, I just find it hard to believe right now in this particular moment that they're gonna bring Pregnon in for a private workout, and they bring him in for a workout. He's like, "Oh, he looks good. He looks good." And then the draft comes at 55. We're like, he's there, and we're like, you know what? Let's trade back and risk him getting taken. And then we trade back. He gets to us again, and they're like, you know what? Let's misbehave and let's take a center instead of a guard because I just find that, especially with how we draft and I just find that a little like small brain thinking. Like we brought him in for a workout. We obviously, I don't know if it was medicals or I don't know if it was we put him through some drills and stuff, and they were probably like, I don't know if he can do what we're asking him to do. And evidently, some other NFL teams thought the same way
Yeah,
because he got picked late in the third round. This guy was supposed to go first round. And then on top of that, later in the process, when we got later, you're supposed to go top of the second.
yeah,
Bro didn't go to late third. Now, like you said, he probably dropped, I don't know, age concerns, whatever the case may be. I don't know why he dropped, but I refuse to believe that this Chargers organization at the moment with the last two drafts we had would sit there, view a starting left guard, which we need, and be like, you know what? Let's fuck about and let's draft a center to shake the world up. Like, come on. I don't think it's that deep. Now, we could be wrong. They could be wrong. And if they are wrong, then you can crash it on them. We can
yeah,
crash it on them. But like I said, Joe Ortiz has got credit in the bank for me on knowing how to draft, knowing how to move around the board and everything. And then on top of that, do we trust Mike McDaniel? No, I get it. Mike McDaniel probably hasn't had the best track record with guards and everything like that. I get it. But we wanted to bring him in here, right? So we wanted to bring him in here. Everybody wanted to bring him in here. Now we're going to critique on how he wants his offense ran.
yeah,
I mean, it's just not, you know, it's not the smartest thing to do.
yeah,
Now, going into Jake Slaughter as a player, I like the center tape. I really did like his center tape. Now I get it. There's some clips out there of him in the Senior Bowl when it came to one-on-ones and pass protection. There's some clips of him at guard. It wasn't great.
yeah,
It wasn't great. Now at center it was a lot better. Now I don't know, maybe the coaches can tap into that and all that good stuff. At guard it wasn't great, straight up, but at center it was. Now they view him to think that he has the abilities to make it work. I
right,
thought that at guard, you know, they kind of just his anchor was a little soft, a little late. Caleb Banks got the better of him. A lot of he didn't know how to set the edge a little bit, so it's just a little off. But at center, he snapped it and it was on him quick, and they really couldn't go nowhere. He's very athletic, very fast. So
I mean, and that's another thing I think that, um, one, we have, uh, a good O-line coach, obviously a good offensive coordinator. This is a very, very opposite. So, like, I feel like Charger fans are they have the last 2 years in their mind, and fair enough, the last 2 years of Herbert taking 7-step dropbacks, every play, and the guards being one-on-one and just getting bullied or not picking up stunts, right? This is the complete opposite of how Roman kinda built his offense and the type of offense he runs. Roman wanted big power guys. McDaniel wants, kinda I wouldn't say small, but, like, more of the leaner body type athletic guys. And he doesn't there's not gonna be as many true one-on-ones just kinda with the way, um, he builds his offense. He's kinda really good at just getting easy buckets, and not having a guard and one-on-ones for 3 to 4 seconds. So, I say that to say I don't know I wouldn't judge the Senior Bowl clips. Like those are, like I get it. Like that's probably something, you see and like, okay, we could work on this and this, and that's not pretty. But that's not football at the end of the day. It's not one-on-ones, receiver DB, tackle. Like it's just something that you can kind of see what a player does well and what he doesn't, and then you go from there. You work on it. But I wouldn't put um, too much weight on those just because it's not what we'll be seeing in this offense a lot.
Yeah, so like you said, McDaniel wants a lot of the leaner body type, quick, fast, athletic guards. And the problem was that we couldn't pick up stunts to save our lives. And it's not that we had dumb players, because Zion Johnson was a goddamn computer scientist or some shit like that. Like it was just we couldn't pick it up. And I think centers are, they're the smartest guys on the line in terms of football IQs and all that. So, if you move him to guard, he's seen all this stuff before. He can pick it up. Also, he'll be good at, the zone blocking, chip here, gets climb the backer here.
Yeah,
He'll be good at that. Guys like Becton and all these other guys, they can't. They just can't do that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a wait and see thing. It's definitely a wait and see thing. Like I said, when you go through the whole process of it, you go through the whole process of it. We traded back, and Pregnon was there twice, and we were just like, no. I mean, at some point, when are we gonna respect? When are we gonna respect it? When are we gonna be like, it's
yeah.
obviously that they didn't like him. It's obvious.
It's that simple. Like
Is that it's cut and dry, just like that.
yeah,
Now, if it was Tom Telesco's regime, then we can crash it on him it because he obviously struggled to find good players after the first round. Ortiz, he 2 years in on day two, day three, he's found contributors for the football team. So I mean, you kind of just have to give him the benefit of the doubt until we see it.
that's my whole thing. Like he's proven to me that he can draft. So I'm not even if it's something I don't necessarily agree with. Obviously, they're he's a GM and he's been a scout his whole life. I'm not gonna act like I'm just gonna wait and see. That's all I can do. I don't I can give my opinion, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know more than him or I put in more work scouting. Like that's just ridiculous. So I mean, same with McDaniel, same with I mean Harbaugh's an O line guy. Like I'm gonna just wait and see, man. Like the
Yeah,
player, we'll see how it works out. It's my whole thing.
yeah, we just gotta wait and see. And I feel like, and I also feel like, it was kind of fed to us in the media that Pregnon was, guard two, that Pregnon was this, solidified, solid player. It was just fed to us the whole time, and the tape's solid. So it's just like, okay,
Yeah,
like, and then when it didn't happen, people are like, you know, why this, why that, and like I said like four times already, like I think we have to trust the regime. This is not like New England or Kansas City where they prove that they just can't draft. Like New England under Bill Belichick just proved that they couldn't draft. The drafts
yeah.
were always bad. Joe Ortiz the last 2 years has had good drafts. So, I just wanted to beat that point into the ground. Like at least for this go around, at least give him some time. But
Well,
if it proves to be rough, then people can crash it on him.
so
All right. So we traded out of round three, and we had three fourth round picks. The first one of them was Brennan Thompson. How do we feel about 4.26 speed finally being on the football team?
that's my favorite pick of the draft. Um, And I know it's probably sounds easy for me to say that because it's the fun, sexy pick, but it's not only just that. It's for a few reasons. One, you clearly see the video of McDaniel expressing, talking about taking his shirt off and all that, how much he wants to. So for them to go out and get him, I just really like that. I think that's a good sign. They're all working well together. Number two, I mean, the speed, man, the speed, and he's not like just a fast guy who like he's
He can play
decent at running
receiver, bro.
routes, and he
He
can
can
he can
play
track the
receiver.
ball, he could track the deep ball well. Like McDaniel already, he clearly knows how to use those type of guys. Herbert has never had nobody like that who could just take the top off. It puts a lot of stress on the defense. And it just it'll help make things easier. I think like you used to say it last year, everything was always just so hard in this offense. We had to work so hard for everything. I think with him on the field, you find ways to get him in space and manufacture separation. That adds a scary element to the offense, to be honest. So
Yeah, bro. And I have a conspiracy in my head that I'm gonna share, but like I feel like they were in on Zach Branch. I feel like they were. And then as soon as he got taken, they were kind of just like, "Yep, we're out. We're trading back." They obviously want a receiver in that um in that area of the draft. And my thoughts on Brendan Thompson is the only reason why he fell so low is because he's small. He's light in the ass, like 5'9" ish, 160, 165. Like that's light. You know what I mean? And like you said, I don't think he's this speed demon that is just out there for speed reasons. He can play receiver. He straight up can play receiver. Now he's not going to play on the outside of the NFL. I don't think. Right. But I think I texted you this the other day. I'm like, there's going to be one or two times this year where Brandon Thompson's gonna be out there. He's gonna catch a in cut or he's gonna catch a slant or something, and he's gonna take it 50 plus. And it's gonna bring a tear to my eyes, bro, because
you
for the
never have
longest time, the Chargers have just had these big mammoth ass receivers with some slot receiver, whether it's Keenan Allen or Eddie Royal or like we've never had no game breaking speed on the team. Now, our receivers now aren't slow. Lad's not slow. KLS isn't slow, but this guy here is legit like he gets the ball and people are like, "Oh shit." You know what I
it's
mean?
it's a it's a great compliment to that wide receiver room. I would Now it would feel much, much better going into the season, like, if this was our room and then we maybe added a vet, like, as opposed to before the draft where it's like, we can't do this. I still think they should try and go out, get a bona fide number one if that's available. But if you didn't decide to do that this year, I would still feel cool about it now, just because you added that um to the room. So
Yeah, and then obviously bring some return ability. Like in college, he only had one, but he's a star receiver. I don't know how much they wanted him out there getting just swallowed up on punt and kick returns. So, but he had one punt return and he took it 45 yards. So, it's not like he's not like he doesn't practice it. It's not like has never been out there before. Now, kickoffs in the NFL are a little different. Like he's never seen that before.
right.
So, but I think he can challenge and should challenge Darius Davis in the punt return things and all that because like Darius Davis, his spot to me is dwindling just because he doesn't offer much as a receiver. Brendan Thompson can go out there and play receiver. You can ask Brendan Thompson to run a comeback. You can ask him to run a deep cross or deep in. Like you can ask him to do all that kind of things. Darius Davis is kind of like that's not his game. It's jet
Yeah.
sweepy. It's
Yeah.
streamy. It's
and I don't think he offers no disrespect to Darius Davis, but I don't think he offers even enough as a return guy, like to offset what he doesn't offer for receiver. Like he's he's short-handed, like he's gonna field it cleanly,
Mhm.
but outside of that, it's like not seeing much value there. I think, yeah, I think that's a guy who can come in and compete with him for that spot. So
Yeah. Like you said, he doesn't in the last few years, the return game it's been poor, to say the least, and then also he's been injured, so he's gotten injured the last 2 years, I wanna say, so he's just been he hasn't been offering us what we need to be you can't take up a roster spot like that, especially at the receiver position, like, you we need more than that, but, yeah, Brandon Thompson's one of obviously, the sexy pick, you go put on the highlights, he's running by people, and, I watched the Arizona State game where he was torching them. He gets the ball and it's squeaky bum time, bro. People, their angles better be right because he's gonna get up out of there straight up. So now we got 3 4th-round picks, and now we basically go out and get a light skinned Joe Alt lookalike and Travis Burt. He's all of 6'8" and a half, 6'9", 315, right tackle out of Memphis. What's your thoughts on him?
I like that a lot too. Mainly because I think it's time that you bring in somebody uh to compete for that swing tackle position. Resign Pipkins. Pipkins is, he can come in and give you some decent plays and splashes, but if knock on wood, God forbid, somebody goes down again at the tackle position, I don't know if that's somebody you want out there playing for the whole season. So I think it's smart to go out, get somebody young, physical. Um, he's huge. He plays mean, and he can move. He can move pretty well for that size. I like it, man. They say competitors welcome. I'll say this at the O line spot. They're showing me that that's a real statement this year because I would like to see him try to compete for that spot with Pipkins.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I like the process of it. Like you bring him in, right? You know, he's not in there with a. I find it hard to believe that he's ever been in an offensive line room with anybody of the same body type as him. Like people like that aren't just walking around. You know what I mean? So now, you know, Joe Alt he can watch Joe Alt and see how Joe Alt operates and see how, he does certain things at the same size. Now, obviously, he's just not gonna recreate it. That's just not how it works. But, you know, people can develop and get help that way. Like I said, this is how I like my offensive linemen, bro. I like them as brawlers. I like them as complete just assholes. Like he plays mean. He tries to dump you. He got an attitude to him. I like it. And also when we talk about what it means for the team, so Pipkins is probably going to be the swing tackle this year, and that's cool. But he signed a 2-year deal, right? He signed a 2-year deal. So after this year, you can cut him. Now that Burke's been in a year, in the league a year, now
Hmm.
he's your swing tackle now. And God forbid anybody goes down. And then on top of that, you know, Rashawn Slater has proven to have a lot of injuries. And then Trey Pipkins has proven that he's injured a lot as well.
Hmm.
So now you just have insurance at that tackle spot. Last year was the first year Joe Alt's ever been injured, I think. So,
Yeah.
it's one of those freakish things. But Pipkins as a swing tackle is has been hurt a lot as well. I've just never seen this kind of thing before in my life. So now you have insurance at that spot too. You know, what it feels like is, and fair enough, what it feels like is they're like, we're not going through what we went through last year where we have to sign guys like Bobby Hart and, bring
Ridiculous.
Deculus and bring guys like Trevor Penning trade in 7th round picks for him because we just need people that have a pulse in the room. Like now we have our young guys and we can develop them. And the Berg pick, I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, because it's
Excited to
tough
see
when
him.
you all these guys that they were getting kind of last minute, like Deculus, they traded for him last minute. Bobby Hart, Trevor Penning, like they're trading for and signing guys. They get there and they got to go start on Sunday. Like, and it's better to just have continuity. Like, and I think that's another thing that they were going for. So
Yeah. So now we get into another one of the more interesting picks. And a pick that I like, obviously there's concerns, but I like is Genesis Smith, the safety.
yeah.
How do you feel about Mr. Smith?
Uh, I like him. I think that like it's very fun to watch him play his highlights. Like that's a like when you taught safety as a little kid and just be back there patrolling, play center field, sideline to side. Like he has all that. He's really good at that. I think the potential is there. I think the main concern with him was tackling. But I'll say this: it's concerning when like if he didn't want to tackle. You watch a film, the desire is there
He
for
just
sure.
doesn't. I don't think he just doesn't know how.
He just doesn't know how. He's not good at it yet. And that happens a lot. Like especially like going in the league, there's a lot of safeties who come in and they're but like especially with a coach like O'Leary with what he's done with Molden and Kyle Hamilton and Derwin James, like kind of getting his career back on track. Like I like what it can be. He should come in and learn behind. We got some great safeties. He should come in and focus and learn behind those safeties, and maybe he'll play a little bit, some snaps. But it's definitely a upside. I think in a year or two, it can be something that ends up working out really well.
Yeah, I mean, this kid had a third round grade. Like people were talking about him in the top 100. And I'm gonna get into the negative. Like to me, honestly, for being real, the tackling is like it's bad. Like it's not gonna work at the NFL level. However, like you said, and like George T said, the desire is there. Like he comes up and
Yeah,
he's there to tackle. He just doesn't know how to deliver the blow, and he doesn't know how to brace for contact in a way. Like you know, I just feel like they just have to work on him with it. I
yeah.
don't know when he started playing football, or because that's what it reminds me. It reminds me of
That's what it looks
somebody
like.
that it reminds me of somebody that hasn't played football for a long time.
Yeah, but he comes like he's not hesitant coming
Mm-hmm.
down, like filling the alley and even like in space. He's gonna come try to get you. But yeah, like you said, it looks like he kind of just started playing ball and the technique just is just sloppy. It's sloppy to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah. So like for me, it's just, and unfortunately, that's the most important part of tackling is delivering the blow and wrapping up and driving your feet. And he's just not at that point yet. But he's he like you see him from deep safety when he sees his run trigger, he's going.
He's going.
He's going, and there's a few splashes of like that's a good tackle.
Yeah,
You feel me? It's just in the league, you just at safety, you can't have a bad tackler out there because it's unplayable. Jalen Waddle catches the ball, you breaks the tackle, and it's six. You know what I mean? But I think but people often get too much into tackling and forget why he's on the field and what he's really good at and why he would have been a third round pick. It's because he's a safety that's long and rangy and makes throws for quarterbacks very, very difficult.
Yeah.
His range is elite.
Yeah, and
His
that's what I
range is
like.
elite.
That's what I like. So they can if they can and I feel confident with that coaching staff, like with the defensive coordinator being a safety guy, like that he can get there. You know, it may take a year, it may take some time, but I like what he could be. I'll say that.
And then on top of that, when we've both been in football locker rooms, we've been in college football locker rooms, like, it might come to a point where look at who he's playing with and being around. Derwin James is a thumper. Elijah Molden is a thumper. Tony Jefferson is a thumper. So, like, I feel like you got to adapt to your environment or you're not gonna make it.
Mhm.
Like, you can't sit there and be like, you know, I'm not gonna do that. Cause then they're gonna look at you, be like, hey, bro, you either gotta do this or it's gonna be bad for you. So you gotta be a product of your environment. Sometimes that helps get the best out of people. Be like, shoot, I'm not gonna be the one that's bitching at the tackles.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be the one that's getting ripped in
100%.
film. You know what I mean? So things
And
like that do happen.
yeah. And also safety was like I remember saying this before, it's like it was a little bit of a sneaky need for us. So
Hmm.
I feel really good about that room now. I do.
I feel
The
really good
depth in
about it.
there.
I feel
So
really good about it. I believe this is Elijah Mooden's last year on the contract. This is last year on the contract, right? Also, he does have some injuries. Like, he does get injured a little bit. Tony's getting a little older, so we just have insurance
yeah,
at that spot. Imagine we lose both of them. Hopefully we don't, but imagine we lose both of them next offseason. Then we have two young safeties that I feel comfortable with, at least, in RJ and Genesis Smith. So, that's the whole reason why you build depth.
yeah,
So that's Genesis Smith. Nick Barrett, big boy out of North Carolina or
big boy.
South Carolina.
Yeah,
How we feeling? Big bull.
that boy's a man. He's a boy. I'm not gonna lie. He's a big old run stuffing. Like he, I think I was watching some of the film, the highlights on Twitter. Somebody posted some clips of him against not Rutledge. Who's a guard that Cardinals took? DeSantis.
What's Santos?
He was whooping that ass. He was straight up whooping his ass all game. So like he's and I think one of the reasons why he dropped, like you said, one of them being that he doesn't have a lot of pass or rush upside, which you don't necessarily need as a defensive tackle, especially if you have depth and versatility there. And then um, he only had 1 year, is what I'm hearing. He was a backup most of his career. This is his only year that he got on the field, but it was good, man. I love the film. I really do love the film. Like he be he be whooping. He finishes plays. Like he makes plays at the point of attack. He's physical. You're not gonna move him. Not with one guy. Um, so just an old school defensive, big old strong defensive tackle that's always needed on his team. So you develop him. You got Tomlinson for this year, more of that. Uh, you never know. He might come in and get some rotational snaps, but that's officially like the D line. The whole D line is my favorite position group on the team. The whole team, like I love that room from
Hmm.
interior to edge. I love it. So
100%. For me, like, Nick Barrett is what you need on the team. So, right, we were talking about Akeem Mesidor earlier, bro. Right? In order for Akeem Mesidor to shine and to flash, you got to get to third down. And what helps you get to third down is when you have people like Nick Barrett that can stop the run. That can stop the run. It's that simple. Like, there's there's nothing. Like, I played, well, back in high school, we called it outside linebacker, defensive end. Now it's edge. That's the sexy name for it, edge. Right? There's nothing worse than playing edge and you just getting bashed up the gut 5 yards, 6 yards. There's nothing worse than that. Now you can't pass rush. Now you're sitting there. You're like, shoot, it's 2nd and 6, or it's 3rd and 5, or something on our side of the field. They might run the ball. Now I can't elongate my stance. Now I can't just go on pass because they might run it. You need guys like Nick Barrett that could just stop the run. Simple. Like you
Yeah.
said, I saw the Texas A&M clips. Travis Sanchez was getting that ass beat.
Yeah.
He's getting that shit tossed around. You know what I mean? So, and then he's did that to other guards as well that just aren't NFL caliber guards at the moment. So, I like it. We lose Tito Bonia. We lose Deshaun Henry. We replaced him with Tomlinson and Nick Barrett. So, to me, it's a great pick. Like I said, meat and potatoes. You have to get the ugly stuff right, so then you can do all the sexy shit on 3rd down. Have your NASCAR package with all 3 edge rushers on the field. You
Yeah.
know, you
And
feel
and
me?
also, like, they always get this coaching staff so far has gotten interior defensive line right. Like, whether it was with Puna Ford, Deshaun Hand, Tierra Tart now, like, that Boybe he's improved a lot. So, like, they've pretty much hit on almost all of them. Caldwell's has had a pretty good first year. Like, can't be mad at that.
Yeah. Well, if they see something they like in Nick Barrett, then shoot, I like it too. You know what I mean? So, that's a position where I just can't be mad at them on because they just get it right. Like you said, Tierra Tart we signed him to a nice new deal because we found him, coached him up, and he's become a guy.
Yeah.
Puna Ford became a guy. Got him a nice little contract with the Rams. So Nick Barrett, I'm happy. I'm happy that we brought him in. I thought they would probably go like a pass rushing kind of end or interior defensive lineman just because we got some big bodies in there. But shoot, you can't have enough defensive linemen in my opinion, bro. You just
Yeah.
can't because offensive line don't rotate, defensive linemen do. So if you got fresh bodies just in there whooping ass, that wears on the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So then we move on to our 6th pick of the draft. We came in with 5,
Yeah.
which ended up with 8 of them. No, Barrett was our 6th pick. Now our 7th pick. Logan Taylor, guard out of Boston College.
Yeah.
What are
So,
your initials?
I mean, I think he so with him and even, like, just kinda grouping him with the next pick, Harkey, is kind of the same type of pick to me. Logan Taylor is a little bit different because I think he's a guard, like, strictly a guard from what I believe. Harkey can kinda I think he's played tackle, but it's projected as a guard. He's gonna play guard. Just depth. Like you said earlier, that to me, those 2 picks were like, we're not going through the same thing we did last year. And you have, like, I think that with 2 all-pro tackles coming back, now you got a good center, a good backup center slash guard, whatever the case may be. You went and signed Cole Strange, which everybody has their opinions on. Trevor Penning, which everybody has their opinions on. However, with the Saints last year, he wasn't bad at guard. Like, people are acting like he was terrible. I understand he's not what we want, but he's not terrible. You got dude from Lions. Like, you went and picked up all these guys. Somebody has to hit, right? Just one or two. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't even necessarily need them to be amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
2 all-pro tackles, good center. Like, we just need average to above average. Like, you're not gonna have an all-pro at every position. So to me, that's what that was, and they fit the scheme. Athletic, the Harky dude can play tackle guard. Like you just kind of have a whole bunch of versatility and flexibility on the O line now. And I think you just go into camp and man, you find the best ones. They have like what did they say, 14 O linemen under contract right now?
Mhm.
Compared to was like 3 after the season. Like now you get to go into camp and just let them compete, man. And I feel really, really good about that, to be honest. Think the player wise, I think Harkey has some things he could work on, but it was potential there. Logan Jones, it, from what I understand, like I didn't know much about him before the draft, but from what I understand in the film I've seen, that's a good that's a good pick because there's people who believe he can be a starter in the NFL. Like
Mhm.
he has the tools. Um, so yeah,
So for me, I like the Logan Taylor more than the Harkey pick. We'll touch on Harkey in more in depth in a minute, but I just feel like Logan Taylor is just for me. It kind of feels like it's kind of like a covering your ass thing for Slaughter. To me, it's like if Slaughter doesn't kind of work out at guard, you drafted a pure guard in Logan Taylor, who when you watch the film, and this is a compliment, it's boring. 'Cause he just does what he has to do, and he rarely makes mistakes. You know what I mean? He's a solid guard. He should have got picked in the fourth round from what people said, but people slide and fall all the time. So yeah, he's also humongous. He's like 6'7" ish, 300 pounds. So it's very interesting to see. But he's athletic. He's decently athletic. He's not like a mammoth that like a Becton or somebody that can't move.
right.
Harky, on the other hand, is a little slower, and we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Logan Taylor is cool, but like you said, Ortiz's whole thing is to get more at bats, to get more at bats, right? We have a whole bunch of interior linemen on the team, whole
Yeah.
bunch of them. So, like you said, the law of averages, somebody has to be solid or decent. And we go through the teams last year. Seattle had a guard that was horrible. He was awful.
It's terrible.
Um, the Patriots, we know what happened with their offensive line. Will Campbell got his ass whooped for 4 straight games in the
Yeah.
playoffs. 4 straight games. They weren't great. You know, the Broncos' offensive line was decent. Houston's offensive line was awful too. Like there's holes in everybody's teams. We're not saying we need all pros at every position on the offensive
Yeah.
line. But last year, we have to realize last year the offensive line was unplayable. They weren't bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't bad. They were disrespectfully just awful in every aspect. We couldn't run the ball, we couldn't pass the ball. And we get it, injuries and everything, but like now it seems like we're going to have all these guys come into camp. We're gonna have all these guys come into camp, and the best 9 are gonna make the team.
Simple. Yeah.
And that's simple. And then the other guys will be on the practice squad in case all hell breaks loose again like it did last year, injuries galore, and then you could come and get your spot. And I kind of like that. I like that approach because our team didn't have a whole bunch of holes to it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Our team didn't have a whole bunch of holes to it, but the holes we did have, we needed to fill them, and we kind of didn't do that in free agency. Not to my, not to my pleasing.
Yeah.
So now we have 14 rostered linemen, like you said, right? I think you carry 9 on game day. I want to say 8 or 9, I think, right? So now, some of these guys should be playing. They should be playing all right. I remember we had some guards that were good. We didn't pay them a whole bunch of money, but they were just solid. Uh, Ode Fash, I forgot his name, but he came from the Lions, and then Matt Filer. We didn't pay them a whole bunch of money, but they were just good guards. That's just what we need right now. We need somebody that could just be solid, be
Solid.
good. We have 2 top 5 tackles in the NFL right now. Like you said earlier, like months ago, you're not gonna have pro bowler, pro bowler. You're just not. That's just not realistic. That's not what's gonna happen. Now, do people or can people disagree with the process of it? Sure, because if Jake Slaughter is awful at guard, people are gonna be looking at Jordan Tees and that staff and be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Especially, don't let Pregnon start cooking.
Yeah,
Because if
man.
Pregnon starts cooking, we ain't gonna hear the end of that shit,
It's
and
gonna
he
be
ain't
a
gonna hear the end of that shit. And then all the Pregnon in people are gonna be crashing it on all of us.
yeah.
So your project with Jake has to look solid. But I think the Logan Taylor pick, like I said earlier, was like a cover my ass thing, just in case, we actually have a guard in there that can do a little something,
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on Logan Taylor. We go to now we go 4 picks later to Harkey. How do you feel about Harkey?
Um, Same thing, like just another just versatility, uh, depth guy, and then just another swing. At that point, I think instead of like going O line early, uh, which a lot of people wanted them to do, it was like, okay, well, let's just take a whole bunch of swings later. I think they felt that this was um a deeper draft. And there was a lot of I remember them saying after, day one, there was a lot of linemen that they liked. So
Mhm.
it was smart for them to trade back and just have more at bats and hope somebody pans out.
For me, the Harkey pick was a little, and I know I just went on a rant about having as many bodies as you can and the best nine will make the team, but Harkey kind of feels like a overkill a little bit. Like you, like it's kind of like you wanted offensive line. Well, here, damn. It kind of felt like that. Like I would have preferred. I would have preferred to take a swing on a Tracy linebacker or a Tracy corner or somebody of that ilk. I don't know if Perkins was picked already, but somebody like that, or VJ Payne from Kansas State was still there. Somebody of that nature, just to throw a you know throw something in that bucket.
Yeah, just throw a dart
But
there.
yeah, throw a dart there. But like I said, you can't be too mad at what happened last year. You can't be too mad at, hey, we're gonna bring in all these linemen. May the best man win,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be solid up here.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was just like I think when they took Jones, I was like, okay, good. Like you got a true guard, and then they had the pick, and they got Harkey. It was like for me, it was like at first it was like okay, because there were still some guys on the board that's like, oh, this would be fun. So at first it was like but then it was like, no, that's fair. Like after last year, man, I can't. If they would have win all 7 picks whole line, and mm,
Yeah,
I know I can't watch the lack of depth and versatility that they had last year. So again, it was kind of just like, what, fair. That's what that pick was to me.
yeah. Going into Harkey as a player, even I honestly didn't. I didn't know who he was going into the process, respectfully, but you know, the feet are a little slow, but like, he's a 6 round pick. I'm not expecting him to come in here and start. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but like we already said, you throw as many darts at that board as possible. Law of averages, somebody's going to be average to above average. They're not going to be dog shit like last year.
Yeah.
We have a TikTok up where we had the offensive line PFF rankings, and all of them are dead last. How do you do that? Like it's impossible, and it won't happen again, especially with the approach we've taken. Like
Yeah.
I know for a fact, bare minimum, that Cole Strange will not be as bad as uh. I know that for a fact. Now, is he going to be goddamn Quinn Nelson? No, but I know for a fact that he's not going to be as bad as them, and that's kind of what we needed. If we had a below average offensive line last year, we win a playoff game,
It's a
maybe
big
2,
difference.
maybe
It's a
2,
big
and I'm
difference.
saying below average.
Yeah. Nah, yeah. I
Our
mean, we
offensive
were
line,
terrible.
we were awful. Like it wasn't it didn't make any sense. And that comes from not just the players, that comes from the coaching as well. And we got those guys up out of there, but
Yeah.
the coaching as well. So we were all excited to bring McDaniel in. So we should be excited about thinking that he can coach these guys up and put these guys in good positions to where it's not a 7-step drop and defensive linemen are just getting pass rush galore on them
Yeah. Free
and
wins and
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Stunts, all that. So, that those are the 8 picks. We came into the draft with 5,
Yeah.
and then, you know, so we didn't have a to go in, we didn't have a 5th or 7th, I want to say. Then we came out with 8. You got to give Ortiz credit, especially when we look at the haul here, you know. Now I'm just excited to see these guys in the preseason and see how they do when it comes to them actually starting and getting significant playing time.
Yeah. And I think there's not really many complaints from me. I think the only thing that I wish we would have did is got a corner at some point. Cause to me that feels like corner and tight end, but tight ends like we with our 2 tight ends we have now that I like, we can get somebody we could get a vet and I'll feel really good about that room, which I think we'll have to do. We will do. Corner is just kind of tough because it's just
Ain't
tough.
nobody out there in the vet market. This is what we got.
It's just it's what we got. I mean, unless you were to take a swing on like L'Jarius Sneed or something, which is a risk, but that wouldn't be bad because it's like that doesn't work out. At least you have like it was a low risk move. Uh, you got other guys, undrafted guys from last year that they really like. Uh, I think that's the only and I like Tarheeb and I like Cam Hart and I like Dante Jackson, like, but I just feel like we're betting so much on coaching and, you know, it's I'm just not super confident about that one, to be honest with you. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see. You can go into the season with that being your room and then see how it goes. Maybe you make a mid-season trade or something to
Hmm.
address it if it's bad. So I think we addressed everything, in my opinion, except that. And then linebacker was kind of something that I thought that it could be fun. I didn't necessarily think it was like super, super big hole.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big year for Junior Colson.
It's a
It's a
huge year
big
for
it's a big year for Junior Colson because we got some guys that can play. We Denzel and obviously Dayon and I believe Troy Dye's still on the team. Yeah, yeah, I think he's still on the
yes.
team. So you got those kind of guys. So Junior was a 3rd round pick a couple years back. He needs to show it because he's kind of the only real like not blemish, but kind of only real like pick that Ortiz has had that's like, it
Hasn't worked out yet.
hasn't worked out yet. So if we can get something from him, it's only a plus. Like you said, the corners. I thought we were gonna take one. I thought we were gonna take one but they do like Nico Reed. They do like Rogers. They love Cam and Tarheeb. Dante played well last year, so I feel like they're like, let's not force it. And Ortiz said in his interview, he was like, yeah, we wanted to take a corner, but, you know, we picked and then a whole bunch of corners went off the board. Like, I believe he's talking about when Abney and all them guys went off the board. So,
Yeah.
so it just didn't work out that way. But yeah, I feel like corner and tight end are the only spots where in the vet market we could go get something. Now, tight end, there's some very, very interesting names out there for tight
Some good
end
names
three.
out there.
So very,
Yeah.
and they're tight end three. They don't have to come in and be the guy, or they're not going to be the guy. There's some very interesting names that Johnu Smith. I'm very high on, very high
Jonnu
on.
Smith, David Njoku, like yeah, it's some, and we don't need like a tight end one, mind you. We can Darren
Hmm.
Waller, like we're getting a tight end three.
Yeah,
Now it's not like a they'll still get reps, but um yeah, there's some names out there, and I think we'll do that. Now corner, yeah, it's not too many. I think Sneed, I think Lattimore's out there was
yeah.
and
It
then
might be
Trayvon.
fun, but like,
It could be fun for depth, like, so that's what I'm saying, like, if you wanna do that, have those guys come in at, like as, like, your cornerback 4, but I don't wanna see them starting. Like,
yeah.
Trayvon Diggs, I don't want
No,
that.
no, I'm
Stay far away from
I'm
that.
staying far away from that, to be honest.
But,
Marshawn, I can get behind because I like his game, I like his style. But Trey, no,
yeah, no, Trayvon, no, but Marshawn and L'Jarius, just because at one point in their career, they were playing such good ball, and we have really good, DB coaches kinda known for bringing guys on prove it deals, and it's
mm,
worked out. So,
yeah, and that Ortiz and them like their former first round picks. So you got guys like Jeff Okuda on there. You got those kind of guys, and it doesn't hurt to bring them in. You
exactly, yeah.
know,
Saying,
and
yeah.
we're at the point where the comp pick formula is not affected on your free agents. So you can bring them in and pay them whatever you want. Now, I'm not saying go pay them 15 M's. I ain't saying that, but the numbers don't matter. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, they're for sure bringing in one of these vet tight ends. Like they're for sure bringing in, and John Smith makes the most sense
Yeah.
in terms of connections and in terms of fit and all that good stuff. So, I see a former Charger favorite of mine. I just loved watching Donald Parham play. Herb
He's
liked
on
throwing to
there.
Donald Parham, yeah. But I don't think they do that, but
Yeah,
that would be fun.
yeah. So, now, I mean, that's what we look out for next, man. Again, and nothing counts against the conf pick formula anymore, so I expect them definitely to be active in that market. Yeah, I'm
Just
looking at corners, I'm looking at tight ends. Yeah, I honestly think they'll do receiver, even though there's nobody out there that I'm like really, really want. Jawan Jennings will be like, okay, but how much are we paying him? And then if you want to go bring Keenan back, it's always fair, always fine with me. Tyreek Hill, like
nope,
I don't know. Stephon Diggs, I don't.
nope.
So I do think they'll go and get either a Jennings or Tyreek, to be honest. I think that they would do that, even though I don't want that. So,
Yeah. The one that makes the most sense is somebody like that, like a Jennings, Keenan, or even a Debo per se. I just don't want to bring in somebody that's going to take reps away from our young guys. Like I would rather Trey get reps over Jawan Jennings. I would rather Brennan Thompson get reps over, somebody like that. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Debo intrigues me as
Debo's
a
okay.
weapon because
Yeah.
as a weapon per se, just because you can. He was actually really good at kick returning. Like this new kick returning style fits him, and he's just very interesting as that kind of weaponish player. It'd
He's
be
still
it'd be
he's
cool.
still good at that. Like you can still do a lot with Debo. You just you get him the ball, screens, jet sweeps. Like he's still really good at that. I just think, like, the lack of, like he's not a bad route runner,
Yeah,
but, like, the lack of true receiver there is, like, kinda he would be taking reps away from guys that, you know, could be developing, and then with it you know how Debo is, so when he's not in there,
he
how
might
happy
start
is he gonna
causing, yeah,
be?
he might start causing issues.
So I don't
You know, Debo got paid damn near 18 M's last year. Obviously, he gonna have to come up off that, but how much is he gonna come up off that?
right.
And like we got hella cap, so the money ain't an issue. And that's another thing that I'm just like, bro, like you have to use the cap at some
Was it?
point.
Yeah,
You have to use the cap at some point. Now, I don't know what they're gonna how. Obviously, it's hopefully it's a Jonnu Smith. I really want Jonnu Smith on the team. I really
yeah.
do.
I would like Jonah.
But I don't know how he's gonna do it, but he needs to. He needs to, because this we're trying to win the we're trying to win first trying to win a playoff game. Tired of the narrative, and then second, obviously, we're trying to win Super Bowl. So I don't know how you can say you want to win the Super Bowl but not use all your assets to do so. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out there and spend every penny because
Yeah,
this year doesn't seem like the guys are out there to spend big on, but you still have to fill out the roster in order to win a Super Bowl. Like we're not we're not gonna be here often. Like how many times are you gonna be in the Super Bowl window? Like how often are the Chiefs gonna be shit? You know, how often is the AFC gonna be this wide open? So you
yeah.
need to you need to you need to
You gotta
figure
give
that
yourself
out.
the best chance this year.
100%. You need to figure that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So that's all we got for today. Probably come back with a little something later on, but anything else, Camo?
So, man, looking forward to the summer, mini camp, OTAs, and all that, so
Yes, sir. Later.